My job today, and I think this fits really nicely with what Scott was saying, my job today is to challenge you, right? I want to give you a bunch of stuff to put in your head, a bunch of stuff to think about, that I want you to look at every presentation that you see from now on and think if, in fact, it's answering those questions, if, in fact, it's giving you what you need, if, in fact, it meets this notion of revolution. Because I think that what you heard this morning is you got to plant the seeds of revolution, right? And the question is, what is revolution? Do you have it? So these are slides that come from Microsoft. In fact, Cass and I were at a presentation last week in Redmond, and we saw these presented, right? And I said to myself, this is amazing. People from Microsoft sitting in the room were astounded by this slide, okay? So if you take a look at the amount of time that people spend with Google, Facebook, and Yahoo, it's 12% of their time versus 70% spent on Microsoft products and service or whatever during the course of it. That's amazing, right? That is absolutely amazing. Think about this. Today, and you heard this before, there is no cross-platform that Microsoft's not playing on, and we'll talk about that in a minute. What I think about this, I'm going to challenge this whole notion of screens in a little bit. The third thing is, when you take a look at your consumer and online markets, there are markets where Microsoft is the only game, where it's the major game, where it's the most important game. When you look at the roll-up around the world, it clearly is. So here's the real question, though. Right? Have we really understood the true digital revolution? Are we ready for it? Do we get what it means? Is Microsoft ready to take all of that, all the seeds that exist, and really make it happen? So what do I mean by that? It's really simple. Look at the continuum. Think about evolution to revolution. Now, evolution's not bad, right? Evolution works. Evolution is fine, but revolution changes the game. So how does evolution work? Evolution on the web is I take exactly what I did offline and I put it online. So I take my television commercial, I put it online. Well, that's great, I'm digital. Well, you are, no question. I'm not saying it's bad, maybe it's good, but that's evolution. All you've done is move from one platform to another, one channel to another. In the middle someplace is interactive marketing, right? It's still not revolution. It's evolutionary. We're moving up the scale. Now I have more ability to be totally interactive within the actual framework of my marketing or my advertising or my promotion or whatever. But then at the very end is revolution, right? And revolution is when I change the game. Revolution is when I use products and services and channels in ways that could not have been possible before. So, for example, eBay is by no means a revolution, right? In fact, right, the little known secret is eBay would not exist without the U.S. Postal Service in the United States. And I imagine with postal services in every other country. eBay could be run off of little index cards and telephones if you had to. The web made it much easier, made it more efficient, but it's not revolution. It was evolution. So let's talk about revolution. Let's talk about the things that make revolution. I'm sorry, I really want to walk all around, but they told me I have to stay like in this one area. So the question at the end of the day that you have to ask is, where do you want to put your energy, right? Do you want to be in the evolution of advertising, which is okay, we do well, or do you want to be in the revolution? And here's what the revolution is, right? It's the convergence of advertising, marketing, interaction, and commerce. Let's be really clear. It's commerce, and you heard that before, right? That's what I was saying. Where's the business? Like, if you don't understand what the business outcome is, if you're not asking yourself, what is the business outcome of what I'm doing, then why bother? Because commerce is the thing. Now, let's talk about somebody who keeps you people up at night, who keeps all of us up at night, right? This is what he's saying. Technology and liberal arts, right? Talk about the iPad. It's technology and liberal arts. I would argue that that's not revolution. He's not close to it because he's missing the notion of commerce. So what I want to do is show you a piece, not my work, so I can be very honest about it because I think it's great. It comes from another agency that we all work with, Crispin. Now, last year at Cannes, at the Golden Lions, which is the global advertising conference that's held once a year, or contest and award summer that's held once a year in Cannes, I was on the titanium jury. Now, the titanium jury is the ultimate jury of game-changing ideas. So you have the advertising movie jury, which is about 30-second commercials, and you have the direct jury, which I've been president of. You have all these different juries. You have the cyber jury. But the titanium is sort of where it all comes together. That's the best of the best work that's judged game-changing. And I want to show you the work that won this year. And it won because it was viewed as a game-changing idea. It's got nothing to do with advertising, has nothing to do with 30-second commercials, has nothing to do with the things that are traditionally associated with CAD, but it has everything to do with revolution.
Best Buy has always been the undisputed tech expert, but their key asset, the knowledge of the Blue Shirts and Geek Squad agents, was confined to their stores. So if people never came in, how would they ever know what they were missing? So Best Buy decided to launch a tool that could extend the knowledge of their geeks and Blue Shirts beyond their walls and out into the digital space. Meet the 12th Force, a modern, digitized volunteer army of Best Buy employees available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Twitter. And not to push products or increase sales, but to provide 12.
Now, what makes it brilliant, right? People have done this before. People have used this for service before. In fact, Renault is doing it in Europe. There are a lot of people who have. But nobody has ever taken it and said, okay, how do I make this core to my business proposition? It's linked to KPIs. It's linked to service. It's linked to returns. It's linked to profit. It's linked to all the things that make it important, and it's linked to the brand. So that, to me, is revolution, right? It's not a 30-second spot. They didn't just move it online. Lester Wunderman, who founded our company, said this in 1967 at MIT. And I always put it up because it just shows you how the thinking relates back to the core, which I'll get to in a second, right? Advertising and buying become a single action, and marketers who ignore the implications will be left behind. That was 1967 at MIT, quoted in the New York Times, right? And it's still true today because there are marketers who are being left behind because they haven't understood it. So where does it take us, right? Take a look at these businesses. This is pretty simple. We had local video stores once. Then we moved up into something called Blockbuster, right? We thought that was great. Aggregate it all, make it simple. Better quality control, better inventory control. But then Netflix comes along and says, wait, it's much easier. U.S. Postal Service, because it started in the U.S., I can mail it, get you the CD much quicker and better. But then along comes Hulu, and it starts streaming. What comes next? Interestingly enough, Netflix might, in fact, be the next jump. Because now Netflix offers for the first time, and you can get it on Xbox Live, by the way, streaming movies without the DVDs. A year ago, they were still forcing you to buy the DVD package. Today, you can buy just the streaming package. And I do it. It's fabulous. So huge change, right? We're starting to see huge changes. We see the same thing just in general retail, right? We went from local stores. We went to Amazon.com. Amazon.com is essentially Sears and Roebuck or Marks and Spencer online. Then we go to eBay, slightly different model, made very efficient by the web. But then we come to Gilt, which everybody should know about. It's a U.S. company. It hasn't come to Europe yet. Their use of data is outstanding. And just the whole use of branding and the online retail experience. And who knows what comes next? So we see all these things changing. But the question is, where's the revolution? So revolution shifts the focus. So how does it shift it? And this is where you got to pay attention, right? USP, unique selling proposition. Everybody remember this from their marketing in school, right? Really simple. What's the unique selling proposition? I got a hamburger. I want it juicy. I want it any way I like it. I want 2 pounds of real meat grilled, flamed, fried. You know it all, right? That's the unique selling proposition. My job as an advertising copywriter when I first started was to take something like that and decide which of those things made the most sense based on all the research I had and the insight, and then sell it. USP. That's old. Because today, the USP means unique single person. Write this down. Unique single person. And why is that different? Because the USP of unique selling proposition is the push, right? I'm pushing you a hamburger. I have no clue what you're doing. Maybe I kind of know who you are, but I'm pushing you that juicy thing. I've made a decision that that's what you want. You want it juicy, you want a frame, whatever it is you want. The USP of unique single person, you got to listen. You got to listen because I'm telling you I'm hungry. Now, tell me what's going to make me not hungry. So maybe your flame fried or broiled isn't the thing. Maybe anyway, it makes no difference. but you got to know I'm hungry. That is the difference. USP to USP. That's where the revolution begins. And this is the key to the revolution, right? It's the primal data point. Not all the data we know, and I'll get to that in a minute. The primal data point. You need to know David. You need to know who I am. You need to know what I am. You need to know what's important to me. Because the fact is, it changes the way we look at audiences. So microtrends, right? Everybody remember microtrends? So microtrends started as a concept in the United States during the first Clinton presidential election. They talked about soccer moms. I'm sure it's in every marketing book in the world. And soccer moms is a great way to aggregate audiences, right? And say, okay, I get a soccer mom. Maybe she works, maybe she doesn't. That's probably not that as important. What's more important is that she takes her kids, she goes to the game, but she also has a life, and she does all these other things. So if I'm Ford, I know that I can sell her a van. If I'm McDonald's, I know that I can sell her value meals, right? Microtrends. Microtrends are old because now we are in the date of nanotrends. And here is why the primal data point becomes even more important. So what's a nanotrend? The nanotrend says that that same soccer mom could be a rock diva, a scuba diver, a gourmet chef, a gamer, and who knows what else, all within the course of a few minutes. Because it's all a question of where she's going on the web, what she's decided to do, what experience is interesting her at that moment, right? Now that changes the game because it's still the same person. The primal data point hasn't changed. All that's changed is how she sees herself. So we grew up on the web, right, creating personas, because personas are what it's about. If you go to Forrester, Forrester still looks to see and rates you on how good you are in personas. But in the world of nanotrends, I'm not sure that persona is really the critical issue anymore because I get it wrong. It's the primal data point. So what does it all mean? Hell with it if I know. So what does it all mean? Data was once hard to come by, right? It was hard to get data. But today, that's not the case. Just look at this, right? This is just all of you sitting here right now, probably within 20 minutes, I could get every piece of data on you that related to things like your income, your children. If your phone is on, I could GPS you and figure out where you were, probably illegally, but I could do it. White papers, Maristas, all of that. So that's just general, right? That's what everybody has their hands on. A little scary, but it's true. But take a look at this. This is what you guys have. You've got all this other information because you have people who are using your products, who are using your service, who've been using them since they were born practically. And all that data is usable as well, and it's important. But here's the caveat, right? Not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. So we got a problem, right? We live in a world where we're seduced with data. We're inundated with data. We have too much data. You know that Amazon keeps all the data that they have. They got it stored in huge, huge storage farms, which is one of the reasons, by the way, that they're so big in cloud, because they had to build these huge server farms to carry. They don't even know what to do with it. But they figure one day they might, so they're keeping it all just in case because they think that it's worth something. So here's the challenge, though. We have all that data.